And the truth is, they have hidden things like UFO and extraterrestrial information from us for years.
Quando lavorava al sistema di radar della Defense Intelligence Agency, John Maynard si accorse che qualcosa non andava e chiese chiarimenti a un suo superiore.
I noticed the satellite's positionings. I said, now this is supposed to be a system that tracks radar anomalies on Earth, right? You know, the whole thing, the movement. Yep, that's what it does. And he says, well, why are half of them pointed towards the outer space? Towards the moon, towards areas that are just blank space. Well, I don't know, was the reply. He says, never thought about it. I says, well, at least half of those satellites you got up there aren't looking at Earth. I said, what are they looking for? He says, well, you got to have need to know about that. I said, I see. In other words, who's coming? He says, we don't know. About end of subject.
There's only probably about 25 people in the world that know things that are known at that level.
It requires to be further protected to ensure that there is only a limited access to that information to a small number of people. So small you can put them on a list of paper or on a piece of paper and list them by name.
Depending on the level of the compartmentalization and the secrecy level, you have to go through a fairly significant background check. It takes between 6 months to a year to get the background checks. And then when you do that, but then you have to sign a statement that you will not divulge the existence of the project or even answer a question that could divulge the existence of the project. It's just that you sign a contract with the U.S. government and the funding would show up at the right place at the right time. There's a large number of covert projects that go on in the United States that none of us are ever aware of.
Per quanto fantascientifica, prende corpo la possibilità che le armi atomiche continuino ad essere sviluppate nella speranza di poter contrastare un giorno un eventuale attacco da parte di civiltà di origine extraterrestre, e ci si domanda se sia per caso questo che nasconde il cosiddetto progetto delle guerre stellari.
Big enigma. When Star Wars was brought out as an idea, which was before Reagan actually, they wanted a weapon system they could put in space that would stop a ballistic missile. That was the concept. Now, if that ballistic missile happened to be coming from another direction other than earthbound, could it do the same thing?
Lo scenario che si propone è qualcosa di assolutamente catastrofico e la possibilità che qualcuno si illuda di poter combattere eventuali civiltà extraterrestri con le nostre armi atomiche pone dei rischi incommensurabili per l'intera umanità.
If beings can travel in time-space, then anything we would put in orbit as a weapon would be like going against Genghis Khan with a firecracker.
We are moving in an avenue where we are going to militarize space. As a direct result, we will become a threat to them.
Ancora più spaventoso sarebbe se lo spauracchio degli extraterrestri venisse utilizzato per nutrire inutilmente un'industria degli armamenti che vede nello scudo stellare una fonte di profitti praticamente illimitata. A questo punto vengono alla mente le parole che proprio Ronald Reagan pronunciò dopo essersi incontrato con il premier russo Mikhail Gorbachev.
I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe.
È curioso notare come Reagan abbia ripetuto quel discorso in 4 diverse occasioni, di cui una addirittura di fronte alle Nazioni Unite.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
No estamos solos. No estamos solos.
A few years ago, there was an astounding book published It's called The Day After Roswell. And it's written by a gentleman called Philip Corso, who's now dead. He had a military career that lasted more than 20 years, and during that time he served at the White House, and then he was a senior official at the Pentagon. And in this book, which is an astounding book, he clearly says that there is a war going on in space. In other words, NASA and the American military have designed weapons. He says in his book that some of the weapons are based on patents of the genius inventor Nikola Tesla. Philip Corso tells us that there are plasma beam weapons being used against these UFOs, and that sometimes these UFOs are hit. I believe that what we're seeing with the footage from Space Shuttle mission STS-48, that we are seeing several intelligently controlled extraterrestrial craft. And yes, I do believe that the flashes are the firing of some very, very top secret weapon which is able to produce an electronic or electromagnetic plasma kind of death ray that is being used against these UFOs. I do believe that that is exactly what we're seeing.
The tether has broken. It is going away from us. Get it on the TV. TV. The tether has broken.
What I discovered, ladies and gentlemen, is that there has been a plan in existence since about 1917, and probably before that, to create an artificial extraterrestrial threat to this Earth in order to create a one-world totalitarian socialist government. One of the first documents that I found in my search was this one. The Imperial Japanese Mission 1917, a record of the reception throughout the United States of the special mission headed by Viscount Ishii. And when the Imperial Japanese Mission was in New York City, they had a dinner and some pretty famous people spoke at this dinner. One of them was John Dewey. John Dewey is the father of our failing, disastrous public education system. Here's what he said. Listen very carefully. John Dewey, professor of philosophy in Columbia University, who was the next speaker, was listened to with great intentness. He said, quote, "Someone remarked that the best way to unite all the nations on this globe would be an attack from some other planet. In the face of such an alien enemy, people would respond with a sense of their unity of interest and purpose." Unquote. Now, bear in mind, folks, that's 1917. One of the next documents that I found, and I found quite a few, but one that's pretty important, is called the Report from Iron Mountain, The Probability and Desirability of Permanent Peace. Now, I encourage you to find this book, wherever you can find it. I don't know where you can get it, but find it. Page 66. Credibility, in fact, lies at the heart of the problem of developing a political substitute for war. This is where the space race proposals, in many ways so well suited as economic substitutes for war, fall short. The most ambitious and unrealistic space project cannot of itself generate a believable external menace. It has been hotly argued that such a menace would offer the last best hope of peace, etc., by uniting mankind against the danger of destruction by creatures from other planets or from outer space. Experiments have been proposed to test the credibility of an out-of-our-world invasion threat. And it continues on another page. Nevertheless, an effective political substitute for war would require alternate enemies, some of which might seem equally far-fetched in the context of the current war system. It may be, for instance, that gross pollution of the environment can eventually replace the possibility of mass destruction by nuclear weapons as the principal substitute for war. Are you beginning to get the message, folks? Poisoning of the air and of the principal sources of food and water supply is already well advanced, and at first glance would seem promising in this respect. It constitutes a threat that can be dealt with only through social organization and political power. But from present indications, it will be a generation to a generation and a half before environmental pollution, however severe, will be sufficiently menacing on a global scale to offer a possible basis for a solution. However unlikely some of the possible alternate enemies we have mentioned may seem, we must emphasize that one must be found of credible quality and magnitude if a transition to peace is ever to come about without social disintegration. It is more probable, in our judgment, that such a threat will have to be invented rather than developed from unknown conditions. Ladies and gentlemen, they have created so many alternate enemies in order to bring about their one-world totalitarian socialist state that we don't know which enemy to believe is real or is false.
Every man do his thing, a little way different. This one a different kind of big up. Every man do his thing, a little way different. This one a different kind of big up. The things I do it in a different way from you. What we need? Coming in. No Stevie I point tight. No matter what color, race or creed. Every man, no matter what color, race or creed. Every man, no Stevie I point tight.
Ciò che di questa esperienza mi piace molto è che la comunicazione fra me e loro è come la comunicazione che stiamo avendo io e te in questo momento.
Quindi è un contatto fisico, li può toccare.
Li posso toccare. E in certe occasioni loro si presentano con un corpo di pura luce.